Coming up on today's show, San Francisco is depleted at the running back position, so they had to sign somebody. We'll tell you who in just a few moments. Also, Richard Hightower, the special teams coach, kept it real, saying his unit has not been good this year. Lastly, should the 49ers sign the leading tackler from last year who was let go by the Houston Texans? All of that coming your way on the 49ers Report, so let's get it. Welcome into the 49ers Report by Chat Sports. I am your host, as always, Chase Sr. I hope all of your weeks are going in grand fashion. We start off with some 49ers roster news because they had to pick up a running back with all of the injuries happening at that position. Who did they sign to the practice squad? It is Brian Hill. This coming from NBC Sports Bay Area, that Brian Hill has been signed to the San Francisco 49ers practice squad. In order to make room for him, the 49ers have released safety Tony Jefferson, who didn't play last year because of COVID, tore his ACL a couple of years ago after getting a big payday from the Baltimore Ravens, had previously played prior to that with the Arizona Cardinals. Right now, San Francisco only has one healthy running back for Sunday's game against the Cincinnati Bengals. That is JaMycal Hasty, because Elijah Mitchell is out, because he's in concussion protocol and is dealing with a knee injury. Jeff Wilson suffering from a knee injury as well. Trey Sermon went on IR. So 49ers in a dire need of really catering to the strength of Kyle Shanahan's offense, which is the ground game. And Brian Hill certainly does have some experience throughout his NFL career since getting drafted in the 5th round a couple of years ago, has played in 45 games. And you take a look at the numbers, they're pretty solid. 209 carries, 982 yards, 4.7 yards per carry, has played for a couple of teams, including the Atlanta Falcons as well as the Tennessee Titans, Cincinnati Bengals as well. 1 touchdown in his career, 3 total touchdowns as well, and they had to sign him because we're not sure about the status of Elijah Mitchell, the stud rookie running back who the Niners took late in the draft out of Louisiana. He's really been banged up all throughout the season. Now he's dealing with a concussion after taking that borderline dirty hit during Sunday's game against the Seattle Seahawks, but also on that same play, he injured his knee, getting an MRI on that knee, did not practice today. Kyle Shanahan telling the reporters that a little bit of an irritation going on within that knee. More 49ers injury news to get to. Fred Warner suffered that hamstring injury 2 weeks ago in that really gritty win against the Minnesota Vikings. He told the media today, I really wanted to play on Sunday against Seattle, but it really wasn't worth it because if you re-injure something like a hamstring, he could be lost for a large amount of time. As for Deebo Samuel, he suffered a groin injury against the Vikings 2 weeks ago. 49ers offense really missed him in that Seattle loss. Today, in the practice facility in the shadows of Levi Stadium in Santa Clara, he was seen doing some side work at practice. Seemed to be in good spirits, showing that trademark Deebo smile. He's the Yak King, having a marvelous season. Man, the 49ers could certainly use him come Sunday because that offense was lackluster without him catching balls from Jimmy Garoppolo and taking handoffs from Jimmy G as he continues to be one of the best Swiss Army knives in the National Football League here in 2021. Now let's pivot to the 49ers special teams unit. We looked earlier this week at the Pro Football Focus numbers that graded the Niners as the 24th best special teams unit. They've been bad in coverage. Robbie Gould has been pretty solid as a field goal kicker, but doesn't have a strong enough leg to partake in kickoffs. That's why Mitch Wishnowsky does that. And on Sunday, all of this kind of boiled up to the 49ers having a disastrous special teams outing. They were bad in coverage. Travis Benjamin had fumbled away that kickoff return and, of course, that 73-yard fake punt that went for a touchdown for Travis Homer, in which the 49ers were blindsided by it and did not see it coming. And Richard Hightower, who's somewhat on the hot seat if you ask the fan base right now, was honest in his assessment of the special teams unit, saying this today to the media, quote, "It's totally on me. The players couldn't have done anything in that situation at all." Hightower, that was him speaking about Sunday's fake punt. He said the formation the 49ers were in made the fake essentially undefendable. And that right there is inexcusable, and that's how you lose your job. I talked about these Pro Football Focus grades earlier this week. Let's pop them back up on your screen. I was surprised to see that Pro Football Focus has the 49ers graded as the 5th best team in the NFL, 4th best offense, 9th best defense. What we do know since Kyle Shanahan took the reins is that special teams has been kind of weak under his watch. Now, the 49ers play and look to me more like a mediocre team than an elite team. That's why you can't always rely on the numbers and always rely on the analytics. Sometimes you have to go with your gut and the eye test, because the eye test shows you the Niners have been more middle of the pack than they've been an elite team. Before we get to Zach Cunningham and if the 49ers should sign him, some of the cap implications that come with that, what is your one-word reaction? And just one word in general to describe the 49ers season. For me, I'd say average, maybe even mediocre, frustrating, because they haven't lived up to expectations. I think their record should be better. You let me know right now in the comment section. It's the holiday season, so why would you go anywhere to do any holiday shopping when you can get this fresh 49ers shirt delivered right to your doorstep? And the deal is even better than the gear, and the gear is fire, folks. This shirt was $28, 50% off now for $14, only if you use that link down below, chatsports.com/49erst. Thanks to our friends at Fanatics. That link is going to be in the description as well as the comment section of this video. Let's pivot now to the big talking point of today's show. That is Zach Cunningham, who led the NFL in tackles last year with the Houston Texans, let go earlier today. Ian Rapoport breaking the news saying this: there were a lot of reasons the Texans tried to make it work with Zach Cunningham, who the previous regime gave a 4-year, $58 million contract to. It just didn't work out. Now the team has $12.8 million in dead cap next year. So much to fix and get past in Houston. That is why this organization is one of the worst in the entire NFL. They give out bad contracts. They make horrendous trades like trading away DeAndre Hopkins for a washed running back and David Johnson. This organization can't get it right, and that's why Deshaun Watson wants out. Zach Cunningham, the player, can still play. He was a second-round pick in 2017, which is another just egregious move by Houston out of Vanderbilt. And in 2019 and 2020, he put up monster numbers. This guy is a sideline-to-sideline linebacker, not in the category by any means of a Fred Warner or a Darius Leonard, but the guy's a tackling machine and certainly stacks the stat sheet. 306 combined tackles, 18 tackles for loss, 5 sacks, 4 pass breakups, a big reason why he was let go, a couple of violations of team rules, and the backbreaker, he did not show up for his COVID test. And honestly, if that meant me getting cut from the Houston Texans so I could hop on board the 49ers, a team like the Kansas City Chiefs, another Super Bowl contender, I might skip my COVID test as well. As for what he did in 2021, in a few games, 67 tackles, 4 tackles for loss, 0 sacks, and 3 pass breakups. He's decent in coverage, good against the run. You can play him in the box. He can drop back in coverage as well. This is a linebacker who can kind of do it all. That's why the Texans signed him to that monster contract. Now, it was a big contract that they forked over, but his cap hit the remainder of the season really isn't astronomical. This is from over the cap. Cunningham will go through waivers now. The contract is very claimable for 2021 with only $422,000 remaining in salary and per game roster bonus pay for the remainder of this year. However, the contract does include a $10 million injury guarantee for next year, which also vests to a full guarantee on the 5th day of the 2022 league year. So if you wanted to get rid of him prior to that so you don't have to pay him all that much money, you could cut him after the year if you do sign him. The injury guarantee will likely scare teams off making a claim. If Cunningham clears waivers, he will become a street free agent with the ability to sign with any of the other 31 teams outside of the Houston Texans. Now, this sounds cool in the grand scheme of things, and I think Cunningham is a good player. I'm not sure why the Texans let him go. Did he just clash with the front office, clash with the coaching staff, and David Culley, former wide receivers coach who somehow got the Houston Texans head coaching job, just had enough, and he's trying to instill his culture right now. I just don't know if San Francisco really needs him. A couple of you I've slid in my DMs. You've hit me up asking me, hey, Zach Cunningham, I mean, he led the NFL in tackles last year. Should the 49ers be all in? Azeez Al-Shire is having a career year. Dre Greenlaw, while he hasn't been available and that groin injury concerns me, is a pretty solid backer. Fred Warner expected to be back soon coming off that hamstring strain. Marcel Harris has given this team something at the linebacker spot at times. Talanoa Hufanga has that positional versatility where he can play safety or backer. If you want to pick up Zach Cunningham because you're concerned about Dre Greenlaw, maybe I'd pull the trigger because $400,000, a little bit more than that for the remainder of the season isn't all that much, but I would probably say no right now because I don't think you need him. And then there are those concerns about that injury settlement because $10 million is a lot of cash, and the 49ers don't have a lot of financial flexibility to mess around with, especially considering they want to sign Nick Bosa and Deebo Samuel after this year, considering they could both be all pros and are both having career seasons. So lastly, before we dip on out of here, Niner Gang, thanks for making the show a part of your day. Should the 49ers sign Zach Cunningham? Type S for sign, type P for pass, sound off, and go off in the comments section, and let's see what you all say.